Hi everybody, it's Sid from Cool Movie Gram, your source for everything about cool film. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button, check out my other videos, follow me on my socials, and those of you who are already subscribed, welcome back to the channel. And it's been an end. It's come to an end. It's officially now New Year's Eve, about the last half an hour or so left of the year. Not doing much, so just kind of like did the usual, trying to keep myself in shape. This video, of course, is just a list of 10 of my favorite films of the year. Now, of course, everyone's got a different list, a different kind of order, different kind of movies and whatnot. And everyone, again, this is not an official list. This is just films that I felt I really enjoyed watching that I had seen this year. And so without further ado, let's just crack on with it. Number 10 is Alien Romulus, directed by Fede Alvarez, starring Kaylee Spinney, David Johnson, Archie Renault. While scavenging at the deep ends of a derelict space station, a group of space colonists come face to face with the most terrifying life form in the universe. You know what? When it comes to the Alien movies, I loved the first two. I thought, the first two are like pretty much the pinnacle when it comes to sci-fi horror mix. I mean, I would say on the same kind of level as The Thing. And in terms of the action, I think the second one, the story and action just kind of expanded even more. And what I really loved about this film is that it kind of it merged elements of what I enjoyed of Alien and Aliens. It was kind of like a throwback that Fede Alvarez did. And it kind of worked in a way. It was actually a really gripping science fiction horror movie. I mean, especially one of the most kind of nerve-jangling scenes watching this on the big screen was when you see what looks like thousands of face huggers just kind of chasing the protagonists through these kind of through the actual space station, through a lab and everything. That was just a great scene. And of course, the human form of the xenomorph, which is kind of seen at the end. I don't want to give too many spoilers, but that was really effective. I mean, the film, I thought David Johnson, who played the synthetic Andy, did really good. I mean, there was a lot of kind of there was a lot of throwbacks. There was a lot of homages done to the original two. I mean, similar to how Fede Alvarez did his version of Evil Dead, which was pretty much a kind of a throwback, a homage to the original. And he did a great job with this. And to be fair, I did not like Prometheus, and I did not like Alien Covenant. And of course, Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection, I thought were absolute, you know what, it's just, they were terrible. They were terrible movies. I mean, that's just my opinion. I know some people still like Alien 3, and even some people like Resurrection, but I just don't know how you could kind of enjoy it. But then, I mean, this film, again, it's a great throwback. There's a lot of great scares. The use of the atmosphere in this film, it just creates a very chilling atmosphere, which was very similar to what we saw in the original Alien and Ridley Scott's masterpiece. And this was no exception. And I thought, well done. I mean, this was actually definitely, I would say, the third best movie in the Alien franchise by far. Number 9 is Monkey Man, directed by Dev Patel, starring Dev Patel, Sikandar Kher, and Subita Dhulipala. I'm actually reading this off reading these names off a piece of paper at the moment, so please do bear with me. After witnessing the death of his mother, an orphan grows up harboring vengeance in his heart. He embarks on a warpath which takes him from underground fighting to the depths of the underworld. And what can I say about this? This is a directorial debut by Dev Patel, of course, who was famous for Skins and Slumdog Millionaire, of course. And I thought Yeah, I mean, he actually has a black belt in Taekwondo, and clearly by watching his movies, his directorial debut, very well-made movie. The cast has done really well. The cinematography again was really good. He's a very big fan of action movies, of martial arts action, and I thought this has that very kind of like John Wick, man from nowhere type of feel to it, but it kind of like is embedded within kind of like the whole kind of setting of the underworld in India, and of course, like when it comes to corruption in politics. I mean, this film itself hasn't, even though it was filmed entirely in India, this wasn't released in India solely due to the fact that maybe because of how bone-crunchingly violent it is, and also just the political commentary that it has, considering the ultra-nationalist government that's kind of in place at the moment, and how it's kind of creating divide. And although it's kind of like a social commentary, and it has kind of like a very kind of inspired by the whole story of the monkey god Hanuman, and how it's also kind of like hark back to how that this character, he wears this mask of a monkey when he's fighting in these underground kind of like MMA matches or bare knuckle boxing type of setting. It's a very angry film. It's a very kind of like angry, bloody, violent movie. The only gripe I had, especially in some of the fight scenes, is where, especially like when you first see like when his character first actually infiltrates the hotel which is run by the criminals, is that it's just a lot of the action is a bit too kind of like Jason Bourne type, where it's like there's a lot of close-ups and everything. It looks very scrappy, but then that kind of explains why, because you kind of see how this character eventually kind of improves his skills and decides to go back and kick loads of ass. Wow, Dev Patel is, he's a great leading man. I mean, this is a film that he kind of deserved, especially, considering, his talents are being kind of showcased in a very effective way. Like I said, very John Wick, man from nowhere type, and it's just kind of bloody, brutal, and it's just such a stylish film. And you know what, it's just one of those that I can see myself definitely watching again. Number 8 is City Hunter, a Japanese film directed by Yuichi Sato. It stars Ryohei Suzuki, Misato Morita, Ayami Misaki. Again, it's based on the ever popular manga / anime about Cyber Ryo, who's played by Ryohei Suzuki. After his partner Makimura is killed, played by Masanobu Ando, who's most famously known for playing that really crazy guy in Battle Royale with the blonde hair. And when he's killed, he has to end up taking his sister Kaori under his wing, whilst they kind of bicker and everything, and he kind of ends up protecting an influencer who's caught in like the midst of like this kind of conspiracy that's going on at the moment. And wow, this film is hilarious. It is definitely one of like the funniest movies. It's very faithful to, if you've seen the original anime or even read the manga, it's very kind of faithful to the source material. The action again is absolutely kind of great. It's very zany and it kind of flows really well. It doesn't feel out of place. Although of course there is a film with Jackie Chan from 92-93 called City Hunter, which is based around the same character, but this is pretty much very much rooted. It's transported from, instead of being set in the 80s, this is actually set in modern day 2020s, and it flows nicely. It goes really well, and it's actually very funny. I mean, some of the humor is very politically incorrect, and I'm surprised how they were able to even release a film like this with this current climate of kind of PC culture and everything. I mean, his character is anything but politically correct, and it's like, it's just a pure entertainment movie. If it's like, for example, an action comedy of the year, definitely would have to go to City Hunter. I mean, it was released on Netflix, but yeah, I would say definitely if you can check it out, it's an absolute riot. Especially if you're familiar with the with the manga or the anime, I would definitely recommend it. And the fact that they've kind of kept pretty much the characters are pretty much the same characters that you see in previous incarnations. Number 7, of course, is the film that I've already reviewed on my channel. One of my more recent videos, which is Stunt Man, a Hong Kong movie directed by Herbert and Albert Lung. It stars Tung Wai, Terence Lau, and Philip Ng. It's about a aging, kind of a retired filmmaker slash stunt coordinator who ends up taking on one last job and taking a young, hopeful stuntman under his wing, but also clashing with a star, and he ends up clashing with his producers, the star, and everyone, but then also trying to mend his relationship with his daughter. Now, this film, as I've already reviewed, it's a very moving, gripping tribute to the Hong Kong stuntman. It's like the essence of Hong Kong cinema is captured in this. I mean, great performances all around. I mean, Tung Wai did award-worthy work. And once again, I would like to shout out to I think it's Albert Lung, one of the brothers who actually directed this movie, and Philip Ng, who have actually shared my my Instagram posts and also kind of shared my video to other people, and it means a lot, and I'm really kind of like I'm really humbled. I mean, the fact is that Philip Ng, definitely probably one of the top guys in Hong Kong cinema at the moment, and I'm really thrilled that he actually likes my posts, and he actually does kind of it's really kind of like humbling, and I'm great, yeah. But definitely, I mean, that's not the only reason why. And again, this is one of the films that Cine Asia put out this year in UK cinemas, and I'm so glad that they brought it to us. And yeah, again, this is a brilliant tribute and a really well-made, thoughtful drama. Tad melodramatic, but it just works really well, and definitely can't wait for the Blu-ray to come out, because I'll definitely want to watch this again. Number 6 is Sing Sing, directed by Greg Quader, starring Coleman Domingo, Clarence Macklin, and Paul Raci, amongst many others. In prison for a crime he didn't commit, Divine G finds purpose by acting in a theatre group alongside fellow inmates, including a wary newcomer, Divine I. This film, it's just a great prison story. It's actually based on a true story of Divine G, who's played by Coleman Domingo, but Divine G himself actually makes like a cameo appearance as a different character in this film. And it's actually based upon the Rehabilitation to the Arts program, which takes place at Sing Sing, I think at maybe other prisons too, where you got these inmates who kind of using kind of like build their use their energies towards something creative, and they end up creating this really interesting play. But at the same time, it kind of sees how Divine G had actually kind of like is trying to prove his innocence, but the fact is that he's kind of facing a lot of kind of kickback from the system, and also at the same time he's just facing like the horrors of like of prison life, and the fact is seeing how it's affecting other people and their mentality and their mental health and everything. But it's just such a moving film. It breaks away from the typical prison movie cliche, so it's not more faced about like gangs and betrayals and shankings and all that kind of stuff. And the fact is that there's no violence in this movie at all. But instead, it's just a very gripping, realistic drama. I mean, they kept it so real, because a lot of the other actors, including Clarence Macklin, who plays an actual his own character. He plays himself in this movie, who is also part of this whole kind of troop of inmates who became actors, who were doing like stage performances, and he did an absolutely great job as well. And Coleman Domingo is amazing, and a lot of the other actors that are included are actual inmates or former inmates at Sing Sing, and it's very kind of like it's a very human feeling movie, and it just kind of is one of those that, like, I saw the trailer, I thought, okay, this kind of looks okay. I said, I might have to give this a go. I might have to give this a watch. And I was taken by surprise. I know this film was made in 2023, but it was only released in the cinemas in the UK this year. So, I mean, for me, it is one of like the best films I've seen this year. And I can see, of course, Coleman Domingo is already very established. I can see Clarence Macklin going far. And Greg Quaidar, definitely an amazing director, very kind of like true to kind of realism. And I would definitely say, if you want to kind of be moved by a film, this is one of the films you would need to see this year. It's very, very touching, very kind of like, it just grips hold of your heart, grips hold of your attention, and you just can't look away from the screen. It's just so captivating, so well made, and I would definitely recommend this film to anyone. I mean, regardless of what kind of movies you're into, definitely check out Sing Sing. Absolutely brilliant film. Number 5 this is something that was recommended to me by many members of the Asian Cinema Circle during the Christmas special that I did with Hong Kong and Beyond, and Fanatical Dragon, and a couple of loads of other YouTubers, and I think Cine Asia, and even Mike Fury had actually done this as well, and Kung Fu Movie Guide. They all kind of like went over this, and it's a movie called The Shadow Strays. It's an Indonesian film directed by Timo Tjahjanto. I don't know, Tahanto. I don't know how you pronounce that. Sorry. Stars Aurora Ribeiro, Hannah Prinantina, and Tasca Namya. 13, who's a young female assassin, is ordered to lay low in Jakarta after an assignment. She befriends a recently orphaned boy named Monji. When he is kidnapped, she uses her skills to beat, kill, mutilate anyone in her way to save him. And this causes tension, and also kind of gets the wrong kind of attention from people in the underworld, and also in the political climate of Indonesia. Whew, you know what? I mean, these people were, when they were talking about this movie, The Shadow Strays, which is out on Netflix as well, might I add, they were saying how amazing this film was in terms of like fight choreography. The action was really good. It had a really gripping story. It had a very kind of strong narrative, and the performances were amazing all around. I mean, especially the young Aurora Ribeiro, who plays the lead character. She's absolutely amazing. She has that star quality that I can kind of definitely see her go far. She is absolutely, she's just is gripping. She's very gritty, and the fight choreography, it is as amazing as they see. I mean, if you've seen any of Timo Tjahjanto's previous movies, like The Night Comes For Us, an amazing gangland thriller, very violent, very brutal, and also Headshot, which starred Iko Uwais, which is the film he did after Raid 2. And yeah, this is pretty much just like, I would say, just as brutal, just as violent, and it's just so, oh my days, I was like, visually, the film is just so amazingly, like, just it's dark, gritty, and the way that she's kind of like navigating this system, it's amazing, and how she's kind of like trying to stick to her regime, try to kind of stay under this kind of medicated thing, but then the fact is that, like, it just all goes sour for her. But then, oh my days, it's just like martial arts wise, the fight choreography in this film is definitely some of the best fight choreography I have seen from any film this year. This is definitely hands down. Yes, even better than Twilight of the Warriors. The fight choreography in this is just a lot more brutal and much more bloody, and it's just kind of like full on. And if you enjoyed movies like The Raid or even Timothée Hanto's other movies, he's definitely one of the best. As a martial arts film freak said, he is one of the best filmmakers working, full stop. Not just in martial arts or in Asian cinema. Overall, he is one of the best filmmakers working today. Number 4 is the film that I've just recently reviewed. It's The Last Dance, a Hong Kong movie by Anson Chan, starring Deo Wang, Michael Hui and Michelle Wai, about a failing wedding planner who's ridden by debt, ends up taking over his girlfriend's uncle's funeral parlour, and ends up kind of clashing with a Taoist priest who carries out these Taoist traditional funeral rites. I covered it pretty much, like I said already in my review. This is just, again, one of the most moving films. You would probably be in tears by the end of this film. I mean, I remember watching this in the cinemas. It was a quiet cinema. There was only a handful of people that when I went to watch it, because I ended up watching it quite late than the initial release. And whoever was there, they were kind of like drying their eyes out at the end. And it's just one of those really moving films. I mean, you don't have to necessarily be familiar with Hong Kong culture or anything like that as well, or even the customs and traditions and the whole kind of like anything to do with like Taoist funeral rites. But then this film, it's just amazing. Again, great acting. Michelle Wai was absolutely incredible, so was Michael Hui, and even Deo Wang. Everyone involved, from the supporting cast even to the main, everybody involved did a really good job. Well directed, great cinematography, and a touching human story. Number 3 is The Substance, directed by Coralie Fargate, starring Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley and Dennis Quaid. A fading it girl is fired on her 50th birthday, and a lab offers her a substance that clones a new avatar, a new version of her, played by Margaret Qualley, that ends up kind of causing more trouble than happiness and success for herself. This film, wow. I remember seeing the trailer for this when I went to watch Alien Romulus, and I think my wife did not want to watch The Substance. She goes, it just looks a bit sick, disgusting. She's not into my wife is not into these into horror movies much, and but this is such, again, visually this film is striking. It's very well written, very sharp kind of satire, really kind of like, it just kind of puts the whole kind of beauty industry and how people are obsessed with this kind of trying to stay looking young, and this obsession. I mean, look at celebrities with loads of money. They just they have too much money, and when they're obsessed with staying young, they just end up doing so much of like work done to their face, all this kind of plastic surgery just to stay young. And I'm like, hey, you know what? Look, I'm happy. I mean, that's just normal. I mean, no one really wants to age at all. It's like you can't stay 21 forever. I wish we could, but yeah, but that's life. You know, you gotta move on. You gotta be very kind of very accepting of that fact. But again, I mean, this is, it kind of, it has like a very kind of, the great body horror feel, reminding me of that movie. I don't know if it's an 80s horror movie called Society. Some horror heads might have seen it. It just has that kind of, the prosthetic kind of like the effects used in this movie reminded me of that. And apparently a lot of people walked out of the cinema whilst watching this, and because they just couldn't stomach it. And I thought, hey, this is actually pretty good. And if you kind of go through that, I could definitely see Demi Moore, who probably gave the performance of her career in this movie. She should definitely be winning the Oscar. This is pretty much, this is her role. Margaret Qualley again is as good as she looks. She looks amazing. She's got the great star quality as well. Well, so is Demi, but yeah, this is just like, she's really good. She's just kind of plays this very kind of like, she's just very evil kind of like incarnation of Elizabeth Sparkle, played by Demi Moore. And I can't wait. I mean, I don't know why the Blu-ray is taking so long, why there's such a delayed date for the Blu-ray. I don't know why, but I can't wait. I really can't wait to own this. Next is Twilight of the Warriors Walden, starring Twilight of the Warriors Walden. Yeah, I've covered this movie. I've covered the DVD, the Blu-ray, and 4K release of this film. And yep, it's just again one of my favorite like Hong Kong action movies in such a long time. And it had that kind of feel of like the golden era type of movies, and also at the same time it just it's just a great big budget action spectacle, and it adds some great emotional drama, some great performances, especially Louis Koo is absolutely amazing as Cyclone, and also Philip Ng as King, who's Mr. Big's right-hand man, and he's absolutely kind of like great, kind of animated bad guy, absolutely insane. Again, a man who kind of like rocks the mullet really well, and the fact that it's set in the 80s, it's just kind of captured the whole kind of Kowloon walled city in such a really creative and very well kind of shot way. And I mean, Kenji Tanigaki did the fight choreography for this film, and he did a really good job of this. And it kind of, it does kind of hark back to those golden era movies, but at the same time it adds something more new, and just shows that it was kind of like the kick that maybe Hong Kong action cinema needed at this time, and proved that there's definitely more going for Hong Kong than there was. I mean, people were kind of had wrote off Hong Kong cinema, saying that it's no longer there's nothing much left. But Soi Chang, definitely one of the best filmmakers working in Hong Kong at the moment, and he just proved everyone wrong. Like, hey, there you go. And again, like I said, it's a 5 out of 5 movie for me. So I highly recommend it, and I would definitely say if you haven't checked it out, just watch this movie. It is as good as people say it is. My number one pick is Dune Part 2, directed by Denis Villeneuve, starring Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Austin Butler, Javier Bardem, Florence Pugh, and Rebecca Ferguson. The Duke Paul Atreides joins forces with the Fremen to exact revenge against the houses that ruined his family. I mean, yeah, this was a really kind of like a big science fiction spectacle. I mean, watching this in the cinema was definitely, my favorite film of the year. I mean, I would definitely say it's just so well made. I've watched it again since, and I just never got around to reviewing it. I mean, like some of the other films on here, I just never got around to reviewing them. But I mean, Denis Villeneuve, he's actually proved himself as a great director, definitely. I mean, especially with Blade Runner 2049, it was a really good follow-up to an absolutely perfect masterpiece of an original by Ridley Scott. In the first Dune part, I mean, it was a bit more slow, it was a lot more kind of like character build-up, but in this one, it kind of like, the way it kind of fuses all these different cultures, you've got Middle Eastern culture and everything else kind of thrown into it, and the visuals are absolutely amazing, some really good fight sequences that are kind of captured really well. And the film, it's again just the lighting, the cinematography, the scale of this film, the fact that we watched it on like a Dolby Atmos screen, it just looked absolutely amazing, especially with the whole kind of like, controlling those, when they're traveling using those sandworms. They just look absolutely like, wow. It was just so amazing. I mean, the production design, the performances again are really great, and it just kind of leaves you at the edge of your seat wanting more. And hopefully the third installment for this movie will be out soon. And I mean, Javier Bardem was really great. So was Rebecca Ferguson. She's just kind of like playing someone completely just different from what she was in the first movie, and you see her kind of changing, and like, was this what she really was like? And that's what it makes you think. And Austin Butler is a really kind of almost unrecognizable, but then he just plays an absolutely amazing bad guy. I mean, the fact that you got Christopher Walken kind of like giving a really good performance in this movie as well, and even it's just so many great characters, great actors, great performances, and it's just a visual treat. I mean, I am as well as being a big fan of action movies in general. Of course, I do talk a lot about Hong Kong cinema because those are the videos that get more views for me. But then I do also love my big budget spectacle science fiction movies, and the fact that the books that these films are based on, they were almost rendered unfilmable. I mean, considering the debacle which was released in the 80s, unfortunately, when people, that was so poorly received. This is just kind of like, this is the way that these books should have been adapted in the first place, and I'm so looking forward to the third one, and I can't wait. And definitely, I would say that is my favorite film of the year. What would you say were your favorite movies of this year? I would love to know. Please do share. And I'll be seeing you very soon, I hope, with a new episode and a new video, and hopefully some more things to discuss too. Okay, this is Sid. Again, Happy New Year, Happy 2025, and I'll see you on my next one. Take care.